The 15-Point Plan is part of the Win, Make, Give podcast network.
Welcome to the 15-Point Plan. My name is Chad Himes, get to be one of your hosts, joined, as always, by my beautiful co-host, the nifty Jolene Snell. Hi, Jolene.
Hello, everyone.
Jolene, I want you to take a deep breath and let it out, because we have made it through the 15 points of the 15-Point Plan with this episode.
That felt great.
That was a long breath you were holding
Wow.
there. Amazing. Jolene, what are we going to talk about on this episode?
We get to focus on time,
Yeah.
a finite resource.
Yeah, and we made it the last one on the 15-Point Plan for a reason. Yet here's the thing, Jolene and I are not going to have the conversation with you on time. We're going to take a little more than the 15 minutes of time that we attempt to keep most of our episodes at, because we're going to bring an interview of Ben Kinney talking with myself and Bob Stewart from the Win, Make, Give podcast, where Ben's going to talk about the daily plan. We want to have the conversation with Ben so you can hear it directly from him as to how important time is. And then stay tuned for Jolene's and my take on this.
Let's roll it.
Today is, how do you make a plan for tomorrow that you can commit to, stick to, live by, and it be consistent, that's not so disciplined that it's impossible to follow?
Okay.
So we're going to walk through, my friends, what the daily plan is. And I really, really challenge our listeners to give it a try.
Okay.
Just for a day.
So the daily plan starts before the day actually gets here, though.
It actually starts the night before.
Right.
Right? And you can fail at anything you want, right? I can screw up anything, but I cannot screw up investing 5 or 10 minutes at the end of the day to make sure that my next day is awesome.
So 5 or 10 minutes. That's all this is going to take for us to plan the night before to make the next day awesome.
I feel like this is an info commercial, because what I'm promising you is in only 5 or 10 minutes every single day, you can change your life too. And I'll throw in a free set of steak knives.
If you subscribe now, you'll get 2 episodes.
Plus shipping and handling.
Yes, of course. All right, so Ben, you're talking about the night before. We're going to take a few minutes, 5 to 10 minutes, to plan out the next day.
Yep.
And that's something that we have to make the commitment to, because we can fail at lots of things, as you said, yet we can't fail at putting those 5 or 10 minutes on our calendar and at the end of every day saying, hey, this is tomorrow.
This is tomorrow. Yep.
Okay.
That's where we're going to start. So once you get good at it, you can do this in a notepad on your phone. Or if you become very good at it, you can do it in your head. I prefer to still sit down, you're not going to believe this, with a Sharpie and a blank piece of paper.
And folks, he actually has a Sharpie and a blank piece of paper in front of him right now while we're recording this.
That's true.
Yes.
That's true.
He's
Right?
going to actually do this.
Yeah. This is what I do on a daily basis. So
Okay.
Step 1, visualize what you want to accomplish tomorrow. Stop for a second. Let's think about that. Not what are the list of tasks that you need to get done. Let's rephrase it. Visualize what you want to accomplish tomorrow, to me, wins. If we were to get together tomorrow night and we were to walk up to each other and we're going to say, hey, Bob, high five. I freaking killed it today. I knocked it out of the park. I killed it. What would that look like? What would winning look like for you tomorrow? If you moved some part of your life forward, your health, your wealth, your business, your career, our company forward, what would that look like? Not in a year or 3 months, tomorrow. What would that look like? What does winning look like to you?
And that's going to change daily.
Every day.
Right. Like tomorrow, it might be that I'm going to hit a certain number of push-ups for my health. Or tomorrow, it might be that I'm going to, celebrate something with my wife. Or tomorrow, it might be that I'm going to set a bunch of appointments. Or what? I mean, it's going to change daily. And there might be more than one thing each day.
Yeah, for me, sometimes it's been, if I can get one great interview tomorrow, I'll feel like I'm moving it forward. Because if I did that for a week or 2 weeks in a row, I'll probably find the person I'm looking for. Some days it might be, if I could simply get my taxes done, if I could fill out my net worth tracker, if I could go through my P&L, if I could do that one thing that if I removed it from my plate, I would come home at the end of the day and I'd feel less stressed, I'd feel happier. This could also be tomorrow. If I could avoid my phone or avoid work for a full day and I could give 100% attention, right, to somebody that you cared about, that would be a win. Because this is the daily plan. This is not the workday plan. This could be, what would Sunday with Bob's 74 children look like for it to be a win, right? What would date night look like tomorrow night for, well, wow, 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 right? Well, what would that?
For somebody else.
What would winning look like tomorrow? And, you know, I've thought about this over the years, and I asked this question before. I said, hey, if I took two people that I loved and I cared about and I respected, and they followed me to work tomorrow, and they sat behind me for the entire day, but they didn't say a word, they just took notes and watched me, would they be impressed or would they be depressed?
Sure.
We said that before, right?
Oh, yeah.
Would they be impressed or would they be depressed? Or would they say, gosh, he spends a whole lot of time on the Cabela's or the Facebooks, right? Or the YouTubers, right? Or, gosh, he works really, really hard. I can see, you know, what that person accomplishes.
Okay, so we're going to ask our listeners right now, grab a piece of paper, grab a Sharpie. Unless you're listening while you're driving, don't do that. Yet, we want you to write down what would make tomorrow a win to you.
Not a task list, not a list of things that get done, but what would winning look like tomorrow? If you just did one thing.
Well, a lot of times it is one thing because there are 20 things I want to get done tomorrow. But if I got numbers, 2 through 20 done and I didn't get that one thing done, was that really a win?
Yeah. You have to say, if I got home tomorrow, what would make me feel less stressed, feel more productive, feel happier, feel healthier, whatever that might be. That's step one. And it's going to be one of your harder steps because it takes you some time to really close your eyes and think, what do I want to accomplish tomorrow? How am I going to know if I won or if I lost? And that's one of the biggest challenges in business is we go every day and we can't feel like we won or we lost. So it's not like we're building a house and at the end of a period of time, we get to look up and say, gosh, the house is built. We did it. We don't get that benefit all the time. That was one of my favorite things about being a cable guy is I'd go out there, I'd have a problem or I'd have an installation. I get to do it. When I was done, I would sit back for a second and say, I did that. I fixed that. It's done. It actually works, right? And now I get to go home. But a lot of times in business or in leadership, you don't get the benefit of that. So you have to slow down and ask yourself, what would that be tomorrow? If I was to sit back and say I won tomorrow, what would that be? So that's step one. Number two, see what your calendar has on it and cancel everything that is not important.
Ooh.
It's important that this is step two. You'll learn why as we go through the rest of the steps. Mm-hmm. But you have to make room in your day for your priorities, for winning, for yourself. And a lot of times your calendars are actually too full for you to do that. So you're physically going to pull up your calendar. You're going to look at the list of things you have on your schedule, and you're going to ask yourself, can I cancel that? Can I reschedule it? Can I cut the time in half? Or do I have to do it? The goal would be to remove 50% of all the appointments that are on your calendar.
Okay, now make sure you're careful doing this because sometimes someone's going to use this as an excuse to not do what they should do, which is hard, because they're going to say, well, today's win is about my health, so I'm going to take those work actions off that are hard. Or today's win is about time with the family, so I'm going to take these work actions off that are hard because they're going to think they can use it as an excuse not to do it. That's not what you're talking about here. You're talking about things that can be moved to later or we just put on our calendar to feel busy that don't need to be there because they're not going to bring us the results of that win.
Yep.
One of the things that you do, Ben, a lot of people want at your calendar. You protect your calendar, religiously by doing things like when somebody asks to meet with you, you immediately ask them why, or you ask them to send you a list of questions so you can be prepared for that meeting, or you'll give them homework sometimes. So you're already protecting your calendar. If they do that homework, they send you that list, they might make it on and still you might postpone or reschedule some of those meetings even.
I hate to give away my secrets to everybody in the world, but literally my assistant will call somebody and say, unfortunately, there's been an emergency that came up with Ben's calendar. We need to reschedule. And instead of saying,
Wait a minute.
instead of saying, is Tuesday okay? She'll say, would it be okay if you reached out to us next week and proposed some more times that work for you? We know that 50% of the time they never reach back out. They didn't really need on the calendar. Those that do are important, and we'll try to move them through the cycle the next time. But you got to create time on your calendar. The only way to do it is to remove things. Remember that the secret to success is saying no more than saying yes.
Say that again, Ben.
The secret to success is saying no more than you're saying yes. Everything on your calendar is a yes.
To somebody else's priorities, right? I mean, most of the time.
That's right.
Okay, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to sit down. We're going to visualize what we want to accomplish tomorrow, what would make tomorrow a win. Then we're pulling out our calendar. And audience, as you're listening to this, open up your calendar right now. There's probably something right there you can delete right now off your calendar that you have scheduled for tomorrow that does not need to be there.
Meet with Chad.
Ouch. Ouch, Bob. Ouch.
No,
All right.
no.
So we're going to have them take something off their calendar that's not important, that doesn't need to be there.
And the reason is because step 3,
Which is?
make a list of priorities, organize them in the order of what's most important. So let's talk about how I do it.
Yeah, that second part of that sentence is probably the biggest part of that sentence.
We all have task lists. My friend Jay, when he wrote the book, The One Thing, said you can't have to-do lists, task lists. You got to have priority lists. But they don't naturally come out of our brains in priority order. So I take that piece of paper, I make a list of all the things that I want to get done tomorrow. Fax this, sign that, pay that, do this, call this, whatever that might be, right? I'll brain dump. And since I wrote it down, then I'll go through there and I'll write, this is most important. And I ask myself the question, if I got that done, what is the next thing that I would do? Well, if I got the second thing done, what is the next thing that I would do? I'd write that one as 3. And I'll go through until I'm all the way done. Sometimes I look at that list and I'll say, there's no way I'm going to get more than number 2 done. I don't even put them on my list for tomorrow because it's impossible. I just cross them off. I know I got to delegate it. I got to tell people it's going to be delayed. It's not going to get done, or I have to postpone it. Priority list allows you to figure out what's the most important tomorrow. Now, since you just did this, then you get to look up and say, do I actually have time for it tomorrow? Does this actually add up to me winning tomorrow? Because you could say, winning would be if I hired a replacement for Chad.
What's picking on me today?
But if I don't make time on my calendar for it, that's not going to happen. If all my priorities are talk to Bob, do this, record this, make this, do this, and I'm not putting any of my time towards what would allow me to win tomorrow, I'm never going to. So your priorities have to match up with your calendar, because you got to have time for them, and they have to match up with what would winning tomorrow look like.
Okay, so this is like what Bob even said earlier in this episode. Bob was saying, look, if I have 20 things on here and I do number 2 through number 20 because they're easier and don't end up doing number 1, it's not a win. So what you're saying is we're brain dumping out all of the to-dos. I mean, all the way down to putting gas in the car, all the way down to get to the grocery store, all that stuff, and then putting it in order of priority as to what's going to help us achieve the win.
Yeah.
Okay,
you're probably going to narrow it down to your 20%. You're going to brain dump the 20% of things that you need to get done tomorrow. That's going to give you 80% of your results.
There you go.
And you might leave some of the smaller things off, but you're just, what's most important? You're making your important priority list for tomorrow.
Okay, so audience, you have visualized tomorrow. You've already cleared some things off your calendar while we've been talking, hopefully. Now what you've done is you've started to write down that list of things you could do. You're just brain dumping. When we're done at the end, we want you to go back, prioritize this, make sure they're fitting on your calendar as part of step 3.
Yep. Number 4.
Okay.
Plan what I call my rituals. Now, I'm not talking about killing a chicken, right? I'm talking about, it could be a priority. What I'm talking about are what are the things that I have to implement into my life so that I have the energy, the stamina, the emotional control, the mental capacity, the spiritual capacity to be successful for the entire day, I call those, my rituals. These are 10 to 15 minute items that happen 4 or 5 times a day. That's exercise, hydration, eating, reading for a while, listening to something like a podcast, preferably the Win, Make, Give podcast.
Yeah, I've got a good one for you.
Thank you. Snacks. Could be praying, meditating. We could write a freaking novel we learned in one of our other episodes, right? 10 minutes a day. But how do you go an hour and a half to 2 hours and then add a ritual in there? Now, because you're doing that, you have to plan for it. So let's say that our plan was to eat something every 2 hours. If you didn't bring anything to work, that's not going to happen. You're going to end up skipping it and come home hangry and take it out on us, right?
Yep.
Or you're going to make bad life choices and you're going to grab the snack box, right? You're going to raid the snack box.
What are you looking at me for?
Bob Stewart, like the little snack fairy, right? It's not going to happen.
I planned these snacks. I planned these cookies.
So you're going to take a few minutes and you're just going to say, all right, what am I going to eat tomorrow? What's for lunch? And what are my snacks? And if you're working from an office, are you going to bring it? Where are you going to have it? Number 2, what am I going to hydrate tomorrow? What is my goal for hydrating? How much am I going to drink tomorrow?
Half your body weight in ounces. That's your goal every day, Ben.
That is a lot of water. What am I going to read tomorrow? Or what am I going to listen to? Especially if you're doing that throughout the day, you got to have that ready. Otherwise, you're going to spend time scrolling, right? What is my mental break going to be? Am I going to pray, journal, hydrate, things like that? Those are your rituals. That's step 4. Step 4.
And we're doing these when needed throughout the day.
Every 90 minutes to 2 hours.
We're taking a break every 90 minutes to 2 hours to do something for a few minutes.
Eat, exercise, hydrate, read, listen, pray, break, something that refuels us our energy.
And audience, I would like you to notice as Ben went through that list and the list he just did before, he skipped exercise when he was writing down the things to do. So let's make sure we stay on him.
Chad, I'll step in his defense here
because
we have an accountability group where we exercise as a group and we record ourselves and we post the videos, and he does it at the same time every evening. Like his videos come on into that group at the same time every evening. And so clearly he's made that, even though he's forgetting it here, he's made that a ritual that has a certain time in the day that he actually does it. So
take that, sucker.
We'll talk about exercise later and what's really exercising, Ben. But keep going through our list now that we've visualized.
Step 5, Chad.
Yep. All right.
Create a time block and even set alarms on your phone for your rituals and your priorities. Because you already looked at your calendar. You might have 2 or 3 appointments you can't get about. You got that horrible Zoom call you got to do with your boss, right?
Yep.
You got that one meeting, and you got to spend time on the TPS report. So you have an extra 6 hours for the day tomorrow that you're going to have available to work. So what you're going to do is you're going to say, all right, I'm going to make time for my priorities. First priority, I'm going to get done first, right? We always eat the frog first. First in the morning, right? 9 to 11, you're going to work on the biggest thing that would move your company forward.
Okay.
You're going to block in there your 10 or 15 minutes for that break, which means if you know you have another conference call at 11, you better end your priority session at 10:45 so you have 15 minutes for your rituals to get your energy up. You're going to create your schedule for the whole day and set alarms. And I like to set alarms because, well, it just helps me. Things like, hey, dummy, drink another 24 ounces, right? Eat something. Take a break. Literally, you could set alarms in your phone that says, take a walk, stupid, right? Take a break, time to read something, time for a snack, right? And just remind yourself so that you have the stamina and you have your priorities in your calendar. If you get to this step and you look at your calendar and you say, I don't have time for any of these things, you're going to have to decide, are the appointments on your calendar more important than your priorities? Right? Is your health and your energy and how you show up important or not important? I would rather have 2/3 the amount of work, but show up at 150% for those 2/3 than have a whole bunch of things and have no energy and no drive and really not at my peak performance. Okay, number 6. This is the last step. I make a mental commitment, and I even say it out loud when I'm done. I say, I'm going to stick to this tomorrow. This is my plan for tomorrow. I am committing to these priorities. I'm committing to this schedule. I'm committing to this plan, and I'm going to stick to it for one day.
You know, I love listening to Ben talk about something he's so passionate about. This really matters to Ben. So, Jolene, quickly recap the 6 points of Ben's daily plan.
Here we go. Visualize what we want to accomplish tomorrow, number 1. Number 2, see what our calendar has on it. Cancel anything that's not important. You can do it, by the way. Number 3, make a list of our priorities and organize them in order of what's most important. Number 4, plan what we're going to do for our rituals, such as exercise, drinking water, reading, what we're going to listen to, maybe even specifically write down the name of the podcast or the book, what we're going to eat. And then number 5, create a time block and even set alarms for our rituals and our priorities. Number 6, make a mental commitment and even say it out loud that we're going to stick to this plan for one day starting tomorrow.
Okay, so Jolene, you've been doing the daily plan for a while. What was the biggest challenge you ran into implementing something like this in your world?
I think it's the biggest challenge is if you're an overthinker and you look at this and you're like, man, that's a list of 6 things. I don't know if I have time for that, pun intended. But then when you actually sit down to do it, you realize it only takes 5 minutes. But then you have clarity on how you're going to run and execute your next day. And there's a lot of peace that comes along with it. So no matter how you end your night, you might sleep even better knowing that you have this plan the next day.
It's amazing how all of our episodes can tie to each other, right? Working on time helps you sleep better. We've talked in our gratitude episode about how it can help with weight loss. So many of these 15 points tie together in such a powerful way.
They do.
Okay, so Jolene, how do we earn our check mark for time on the tracking sheet that anybody can go get at 15pointplan.com? If they're planning to track their work on the 15-point plan, how do they earn the check mark that goes under the time box?
They'll simply just follow Ben's daily plan. And I've got a note in my phone that I pop into every single night, and there's the template in there, and then I might just customize it for the next day. Takes me 5 minutes, and it's an easy check to get. But gosh, I sleep a lot better knowing that my next day is ready to go. I can wake up knowing that I have a plan in place.
This is awesome. All right, so gang, pay attention, because just because we've gone through the 15 points doesn't mean the podcast is done. In our next episode, I'm going to put Jolene on the spot. That's right. She doesn't know it's coming. Hopefully she stopped listening. Because on the next episode, we're going to put Jolene on the spot as she creates her customized 15-point plan right here with each and every one of you. We're going to put that together.
Speaking of plans, this was not in the plan, Chad.
I don't always follow the plan. But now that she was listening, I guess you can prepare a little bit for it, Jolene. And we are now going to start diving deeper into each of these topics. Join us in our Facebook group, facebook.com/group/winmakegive, and let us know the questions you want answered. Whether it's about nutrition, hydration, time, hobbies, gratitude, any of these 15 points, Jolene and I are going to start diving deeper and deeper into each one and help you continue to generate the health, the energy, and the happiness you're looking for. Make sure you're sharing this podcast with your friends that need the kick. Make sure you're joining us as we dive deep, and make sure you've visited 15pointplan.com and got the tracker so that we can help you keep growing. And we hope this episode ups your energy and takes you to the next level.